In this video, I'll talk about two things. First is how to access the Excel Miner software from their online website. And so in case if you have a Mac or if you haven't downloaded that on your PC and if you're away from your personal PC, then you can just go online and use that. So the first thing you need to do, and that is true whether you are using it online or if you want to download a copy of Excel Miner, you'll get a 140-day license for your own personal computer. You will go to this website, solver.com/students, and I have a link for that on Moodle as well. So if you haven't downloaded that on your machines, especially if you have a Windows PC and Excel 2016, please do so because that's a good resource and we'll use Excel Miner quite a bit for the remainder of this course. So you will go to the Solver website and actually click on the link that I have on Moodle, and it'll ask you to register with your email address. Use your Bethel email address here. .edu is important. And then create a password, your name, your school, graduation date. The textbook code and the course code are both provided on Moodle. So then you click here, uh, and then you will be presented with a link to download it. But if you have a PC, then only you can download it. On a Mac, this will not work. So what you could do is click on this link, and it will take you to a page like this. It gives you a little video on how to use the online website, but then I'm going to provide an introduction here as well. So just click on this link, Analytical Solver. It's going to open up a tab. Initially, it'll ask you to log in, but I'm already logged in, so it has my credentials. Then go to Home, sorry, go to Analytical Solver. So this looks like the Excel Miner that we have seen in class and that you might have on your PCs. It will present us with three tabs. One is the Analytical Solver platform, then the Excel Miner platform, and then Solver Home. So before we can work with the data sets, we have to import them into the cloud using this tab. So you would go to New, Open, and then click on From Other Source. Then go to the source where you have saved the FBS file. So here I've saved it in this folder. I'll click here and then click on Open. And this looks like Excel or Google Sheets, but it works differently. So the common functions like Control-C, Control-V, or copy and paste will not work here. So this is our data set that has been imported into the Excel Miner's cloud platform. And now in this problem, we have to kind of work in two stages. So the first stage is that we have to use a clustering algorithm to cluster our schools simply based on geography. And we have to create three clusters. Now we haven't talked about k-nearest neighbor matching, but I will walk you through how to just do the initial step. And then once you have done your k-nearest neighbor clusters, then to answer the actual problems A through A, B, C, and D, you will be using this hierarchical clustering the way we have done this in class. So kind of what we'll do first is click anywhere on this, go to Excel Miner platform, go to cluster. Now, if you have a PC version, it'll do it just the way we've done it in class, but I'll talk through the options that we need to make sure that we select. So I'll click on K means clustering. And here, the clustering needs to be done on latitude and longitude. So I'm going to select these two and then click on Next, making sure that our data set is covered. All our data set is imported and the first row has headers. Click on Next. Here, we got to normalize the inputs and then we need to create three clusters and we will do 50 iterations. And we will do 10 random starts. So I'm going to just increase that to 10. And make sure that the set seed is set to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This will help you replicate your results again later on. So, and then click on next. And then we'll have these options already selected. Then click on finish. So here, if you scroll down, you will see that Excel Miner is doing the k-means clustering. It has done it, and then it will present the results here in these tabs. So these are our cluster outputs. We will talk about interpreting this later on. If we go here, we will find the clusters that the program has done for us. And then we can visually inspect how these clusters look like. Now, because this is the online platform, the pivot table, pivot chart functions are not available here, but we can still visualize our data. And to do that, you would just select anywhere here and then go to Explore, Chart Visit. It's going to look a little different than what we saw before. Click on Scatter Plot. One thing that I forgot to mention here is that you will have to physically enter your data. So here our data is from B10 all the way to H137. So if we scroll down, so we have B10 to H137. So we have to make a note of this. Or if your numbers are different, make sure that you have those numbers. So B10 to H137. And now I'll click on Explore, Chart Visit, Scatter Chart or Scatter Plot, and then manually type in B10 and then colon H137. So once we type this and click anywhere else, this will then automatically import our data. And we have to basically plot one variable versus the other. So versus is the variable that is on your x-axis, and this is the one that's on your y-axis. So we are essentially plotting longitude, the latitude against the longitude. And we will color it by cluster ID. So once we do that, we will see that pretty much a map of the US is generated again. And here schools have been clustered very nicely by geography. So we have cluster 1 here, we have cluster 2, which is kind of northeast, and then we have cluster 3, which is schools in the south. And then as we move, we can see what these clusters are. So these are our 3 clusters. And now the next part of the problem involves essentially splitting our data set into 3 separate files, one for each of these clusters, cluster 1, cluster 2, and cluster 3. So here we cannot do that within Excel Miner. So what we'll have to do is we actually have to now save this file. So go to Solver Home and then click on Save, and then save to some other sources. So click on Save to Other Sources. This will then open up something like this, where you can go to your desired folder. Here I'll go to where I've saved it. And then just download it as a separate file, otherwise it'll be overwritten. So now we'll go to this folder and then just open this file. Kind of is in a different format, so we'll just ignore the error. And so this is our file that's now downloaded. This is our clusters. I don't want any of these informations that we have. All we need is to just copy these into our actual data, because we want to eventually separate our sample by various clusters. So I'm going to just actually paste here and then insert these 2 in the beginning. So now we have all our records and the clusters into which our data set separated them. I can now make this into a table. and then just filter by cluster 1. So this is our cluster 1. I can then copy these into a new file. So now we have our cluster 1, schools with their names, their stadium capacity, latitude, longitude, athletic endowments, revenues, enrollments, etc. So I'm going to just save this as region 1. So I'll call this region 1. Now, this will be the file that you will import to answer part 1 or part A of the question. And then you'll do the same to create a file for question number B, then for C, and then finally you will use your answers to both A, B, and C to then discuss what did you observe and what are your conclusions in forming clusters on these schools. So in each case, when you answer part A, you will import this, and then you will get hierarchical clusters, then download that, save it as region 1 slash file B, because you cannot do pivot charts on Excel Miner. You'll have to download the files into Excel to do your analysis. So in each time you will import it into Excel Miner online, do the clustering, and then download it, and then repeat the procedure to make sure that you have the subclusters correctly identified. Of course, if you have Excel Miner installed locally, then you could just go to the Excel Miner tab and then use all of those things here. So again, this requires a lot of pre-processing before you can actually get into the work assignment. But a part of business analysis is essentially dealing with data which you may have to process in a certain way before you can use it to drive your business insights. Hopefully you found this useful. Thank you.